Sorrow has been a character I've been working on for years, ever since before I graduated high school. Um, yeah, I'd have to say he's one of the first characters ever created. He's up there along with Almighty Eye and Chase Hoodlands. Well, the thing is with my comics, I try to be as original as I possibly can with my stories, and at least put as much of my own creativity in my stories as I possibly can. My own, using some of maybe my own thoughts, my own ideals, things like that to help the story flow a lot better. Well, when I first came up with the idea for Sorrow, it was always meant to be, something different than your basic superhero story. Like, you got superheroes, like Superman and Iron Man, Captain America, people who would climb up a tree and rescue that cat, and bring the cat back down and hand him to his family. That's a superhero. Where Sorrow is definitely a lot more, well, basically, you never truly know what side Sorrow is actually on. One minute he's giving a man back his eyesight, and the next he's blowing someone's head off, or another time he's given a kid a pep talk, and the next he's burning someone alive with their own fire. It's really hard to know exactly what side Sorrow is on and what his actual end game is and what he's actually doing there. And that's actually the way I want it. I want to keep that mystery playing out as long as possible. Is Sorrow really a good guy, or is he just another bad guy? Is he simply necessary evil? What's the story here? What's actually going on here? And that's what I'm trying to do when I work on these Sorrow stories. Now, has this current version of Sorrow changed somewhat from the original, like, hand-drawn comics I used to do as a kid? Yes, certainly, and I think that's actually something that a lot of comic artists and writers face throughout the years as they improve their skills, and whether their writing skills improve and their art skills improve, the comic is always changing. I mean, talking about indie creators here, significantly different than when you're looking at comic powerhouses like Marvel and DC, whose writers and artists change all the time, and because of that you get different aspects of the comic and someone else's ideals in the comic and different art styles, And that's why Marvel and DC's characters, change from time to time, and you get all sorts of these different art styles and ideals being added to the character, which in some cases, makes the character even better, in some cases, makes them worse off. But the good thing with those type of with Marvel and DC, they can always change writers and get another artist in there to do something else that the readers might like and enjoy and whatnot. So with comics, I'd say there's not really a win or lose there. That sort of thing. And the big challenge with indie creators is when they first start out, they eventually, through time get better with their art, and they of course get better with writing stories too. So in a way, the same sort of thing happens from that perspective, as terms the art style always changing, and the writing and how the story goes is always changing, because the more you write stories, the better you get at them, and sometimes that leads to you looking back on your old work going, okay, what can we do to make this story a bit better, a bit more catchy, or something that could build up, maybe a cult following where you got all sorts of people looking at it and read it just for the entire journey of the comic book. Even if the story can be really horrifying to look at, it's just got something there that just keeps you hooked onto it. And in a way, with Sorrow, that's sort of the goal I am trying to achieve with it. And I'll be honest, Sorrow is the most popular character I've got. Always has been. I'm not sure if it's the look or other things, but yeah, people have always been partial to Sorrow for some reason. I was never really sure why, but yeah, well, as long as people are reading Sorrow, I'll keep working on it. I'll keep doing something, and hopefully we'll create something that I'll be able to look back on in 30 odd years and think, yeah, I'm actually proud of this. I'm actually proud of this story. I'm actually proud of this comic. Have I ever reused a character for the sake of a Sorrow comic? Yes. Once or yes. Even in these new comics, yes, there's some characters that I've designed throughout the years or used in other comic projects or webcomic projects that either I wasn't really happy with at the time, or just something I never really did anything with, but I still got the character designs here and there that, yes, that I can sit down and actually reuse the character in some shape or form, whether I give the character a new name and keep the costume design, or whether I keep the name and do a different design altogether for that character. For example, the Purifier, who appears in the new Sorrow comics, who's basically just a reamped version of Victor from the original comic, in the original comic he was a satanic cult leader who did a lot of bad things, human sacrifice, that sort of thing. And he ended up unleashing Sorrow in the original story. In this version, He's he's simply a mass murderer and serial arsonist with a demon destroyer god-like complex. And well, his look in the new comic was something I based from one of the first comics I drew back when I was still in high school. It was basically a Venom fan comic. I did like my own Venom fan comic when I was a kid, which I get that there's not really a lot of respect for fan comics out there, but fan comics I find does provide one with inspiration and does help boost up one's creativity, especially if you're getting into making comics and things like that. And well, with that we had this Venom fan comic, like not really a Venom fan comic, I gave him a different name, but the design of the character was pretty much similar to that of Venom as well. I was a huge fan of Venom growing up as a kid. I always loved watching Spider-Man and from the old '90s cartoon, and so it was kind of fun drawing a character who looked a lot like Venom. And I had this character who's sort of like a cloaked sort of character with a weird face, and that look became the inspiration to Victor's new look in the Sorrow comic. Or Victor the Purifier, as he's named in the new Sorrow comic. And another example would be the next villain that comes along in the Sorrow comic too, Celine Harrison. That character was actually reserved for another comic series I was going to do, but after I read the original story, I decided that the comic book was ultimately... Basically, the comic was going to be like... It was a complete gore fest. And I didn't feel comfortable releasing that project. Why? I don't know. I just guess I wanted to be a bit responsible for what I was releasing. So you can imagine that whole comic was just going to be one big gore fest, and surprisingly, even to my standards, it was just a comic book I wasn't willing to release. But there were a lot of cool character designs and things like that in there, and different characters with different psyches and reasons for being there. I can use them in other projects. I could use them the next time I do a Ryan Merrill's House of Horrors comic, which has multiple horror comics in there, or I could, for example, like Celine Harrison, use them in Sorrow, where I can use their uniqueness of what they would have brought to that other comic if I had released it, using it in the Sorrow comic instead, which automatically lowers that violence intake, because I can really stretch it out, because it's in a story where it's not always someone dies, blood splattered everywhere. You get what I mean? And there's some pretty awesome character designs in there. You wouldn't want them to go to waste. Sorrow is a really fun project to do, and Sorrow, of course, isn't my only comic project. We've got Almighty Eye as well, and of course I have been getting into doing things that are a bit more lighter and kid-friendly, as well, such as doing Platoon, which is pretty much built on comedy. It's still sort of like, fantasy-ish, in the superhero genre a little bit, but it's more fantasy, magic, maybe a bit of sci-fi. And most importantly, it's more on the comedy side with cute little animal-like characters, things like that. The kids will love things that I could probably have made into a plush later on if I ever figure out or get some sort of deal to actually do that. So yeah, I don't just do Gorefest, I do things on the kid-friendly side as well. And yeah, I'll admit those are really fun to work on too. And the good thing about working on different projects and doing different types of genres, and especially someone like me who jumps from project to project, does a bit on each project, as I do, yeah, I never get bored drawing. I never get bored drawing and working on any of these stories. And I'm never working on them to the point where I'm getting frustrated or annoyed. And when I do hit that point, it's time to jump project and work on another comic project for a while. And that sort of thing. I can honestly say that in 2020, I've actually done, I think, more this year than I've ever done any previous year. Because I've been doing other stuff, even doing YouTube videos here where I'm talking about my comics or doing Dragon Ball What Ifs, other things like that. It's actually helped keep me in a creative state of mind, being creative and things like that. It's motivated me to draw more and things like that. It's also motivated me to go out there and look at other, read art books and read other comic books and things like that, and learn more art styles and things like that. So I've definitely done well with keeping myself motivated during these projects. And right now I'm at the stage of my life where I'm trying to live my life a bit more balancedly. Like, I'm actually just now starting to get back into a workout routine now that COVID-19 restrictions are easing quite a bit and things like that. But I'm also making sure that I stay on top of what I'm doing creatively, in terms of my creativity, and keeping my projects going as well. And that, of course, means releasing more merchandise as well, which is actually good. I actually find that's where actually a good portion of my income is actually starting to come from my merchandise now. So it's pretty cool that that's actually starting to work out, becoming a reliable stream of income. It's been years. It's been years since first starting this whole, doing comic books and, working on my creativity and doing things from my creativity, that it is actually starting to pay off. And, it's definitely been a long time coming. And well, to those of you out there, all I can say to you guys is if you're looking into doing the same sort of thing, don't give up, guys. When it comes to doing comics and things, you want to be doing it for the long haul. Not the instant success. You need to really take your time, work on your craft, work on your art, read other stories, things like that. Learn how to write. It takes a lot of investing time in yourself. After all, as I always say, you're your number one investment. It takes time to build up something that you're gonna make, a decent income off it. But if you stick at it, you know, it can be very rewarding. And you know, there are people who do indie comics and web comics, don't get paid a single thing, but they still feel rewarded and accomplished when, you know, successfully completing a project. Well, it is a true sense of accomplishment. And you know, even when you get the occasional comment, someone saying, "Hey, good job with this comic," or "Great job, you're really starting to improve." You know, when you start getting feedback from your work, you know, nothing beats that feeling. Nothing beats that feeling whatsoever. You know, even when you see people, you know, retweeting that tweet of your comic art and things like that, and people giving it praise, or giving it that retweet or that like, you know, nothing beats that feeling when you know people are engaging with your work, whether you get paid for it or not. So remember guys, keep at it, keep going. And you know, sometimes you might do a comic that does end up a bit on the controversial side, I should say. Like, you might actually do a comic where you've drawn something, or you've created something, or you've done something that's part of a story that someone may or may not take offense to, and suddenly there's a big uproar and things like that. You got to remember, as a creator, you are going to get some people out there who are going to completely misinterpret the point of your comic and try and make it about them. You will deal with toxic people like that. You know, people who just, you know, sort of nitpick everything and try to find something to pick on, or to find something offensive about your work. You are going to deal with that somewhere down the line, but you don't let that discourage you. You know, I actually know someone who had their webcomic taken down from a webcomic hosting site because someone found their comic offensive and petitioned to have it removed, and this person did pick themselves up and still continue doing comics, but not before suffering that blow. And what was the biggest blow to this person is that comic was so popular that she was actually making a living off this comic. It was a primary and most valuable source of income, and because someone decided to nitpick the comic or make it about them, or make it about their political narrative or whatever, because someone did that and was not paying attention to what the comic and story was actually about, just what one little thing in this comic, you know, wiped out a huge chunk of her income. And you know, interfering with people's lives like that, it's not right. It's not cool. It's a comic book. It's a piece of fiction. It's a piece of art. You know, and people shouldn't be taking offense to that ever. 100% ever. But not the point I was trying to get across here. My point is that sometime you might deal with something like this. Don't let it discourage you from creating. Don't let that stop what you're gonna do. Because, you know, to be honest, the moment you stop is the moment, you know, trolls like that win. Alright, well, thanks for Well, guys, thanks for having me. I gotta actually go ahead and get some work done. Work on more Sorrow and some more Mighty Eye today.